Hey everybody, this is Melina from ScrapbookingwithMe.com and Me Crafty Scrapper here on YouTube and Instagram. Today is another episode of M's Scrap Busters. This is the challenge that I put up each week. Just challenging you to use some of your scraps that are in your stash. And we know that we all have scraps. I have a huge bowl just sitting here that I need to use scraps, and I need to make some clusters, but I thought that I would make something even more with scraps, some of my bigger scraps and then some of the small ones. So I've made these little stackable baggies, and you can use the baggie alone as a pocket in your journals, or you can stack them like I have. I have done one with a bag kind of cattywampus on the front of it, and then another one with the little baggie straight on the top of the other baggie. And these are not pre-made bags. I made them out of scraps. So I've got a tag of sorts, journaling spot in the top of this one, and I have a little tag in this in this bag, a little tag in this bag that's on the front of this one, and then I just collaged with some fabric and some lace on the front of it and added a little scrap piece there to the front of that book page. That's what that is. That's just a piece of book page. And if you're good with the wording going sideways, you can make them out of book page. If not, you can just make them out of scrapbook paper like I have here. And this was just some very old scrapbook paper, not cardstock weight, but scrapbook paper, the thin paper that I had in my stash forever and a day. And on this one, doing the little skinny bag to the side like this, I left this open, and so it's a little tuck there. So you've got a little pocket there. You've got a little pocket here in this front bag. You have your little collage piece there on the front, your little ephemera cluster of scraps. And then with this one, this paper bag holds quite a bit. Look how wide of a mouth it has. And so I was able to put quite a bit of book page pieces in that one. And this would come in handy if you put it in your journal. Let me get my journal over here. So this would come in handy if you decided you're going to put it on a page in your journal, glue it down. So liquid glue, score tape, whatever you want to use to glue it into your journal. And then when you wanted to add some bits of book page or whatever, so this is glued in. You have the tuck there, you have that little pocket there, and then you have this, and you can take these out and use these throughout your journal however you would like. So that's just another little way of using a pocket and getting some ephemera put in those pockets so that we can use them throughout our journal. Now I have you pulled in pretty close since these pockets are small. So and you can see really close detail on these, and you're not so far away. The camera's not so far away. So I have all kinds of little scraps. Now I have some 6x6 scrap. I found some printed vellum in my stash, so I want to try to use that. I have some book page from a previous project. And then I have some scrapbook paper scraps here. And I want to try and use a little of each on some of these pockets. So there is two varieties, and let me show you. Easiest thing ever to make that first little baggie. Now I got this idea from Natasha at Treasure Books. It's one of her older videos, but I will link it in the description box below so that you can go and watch hers also. This is a 12-inch wide sheet of scrapbook paper, and it's about, let's see, you'll want measurements. Let's see. Oh, it is 6 inches tall, so 6 by 12. And if we're going to fold this over, that's going to make quite a wide pocket. So I'm going to cut this down to about 9.5 inches wide. So let's cut off 2.5 inches. And then we're just going to fold over to about half, and then fold over again, and we're going to have about a 1/2 inch overhang. Okay, so go ahead and fold it there, and then I'll show you how far I'm folding it over the other piece, and just get that all nice and straight. Doesn't matter if your crease is down the middle or not. Okay, so then you're going to crease down those edges, and then easy enough, let's go ahead and glue this down. I've used up all of my Barely Arts and Art glitter glue on that altered book that I just finished, and I haven't been to the shop to get some more, so I'm having to use my Fabrifix. Okay, so you're going to glue down that crease, and then fold the bottom up about 1/2 inch and make a good crease, and then you are going to cut off. So there's our line that we creased it at. You're just going to cut off a little edge like so, and then you're going to fold that back up. You're going to leave this back, so this is actually the back of your pocket where your seam is. You're going to leave this flap, and you're going to trim off this flap. So I'm just going to kind of fold that back and then trim right at where it has been folded. It doesn't matter if you get it a little jagged, because you're going to cover it up with that other flap. Okay, so move that out of the way. And I do have glue stick. Let's see if this will work on this little flap here. Since it is paper and not cardstock, it should work. Then you're just going to fold up where you left that back flap. You're just going to fold it up, and you make a nice little closure on the back of that. Pretty little baggie. And then you figure out what you want to do about the top. Do you want to tear it? So on this one, I torn the top. On this one, I used my tab punch. So the We Are Memory Keepers tab punch. And I just put the paper up. Let me show you on a little piece of scrap paper. So I just put the paper, the top of the baggie, up to about right there, right before it goes into the big piece of the tab up here. Okay, so I just put my paper about there and punched it out, and that made the little nook that I made on the top of this one. Okay, so just figure out, do you want to tear the top? Do you want to actually put a circle notch in it? Do you want to use your tear ruler? You could do that. Use a tear ruler and make a little decorative top to it. I think I will use my 1.5 inch circle punch to make my knot on this one, and I'm using today pumice stone Distress ink, and it's a cross between a gray and a brown. It's a very smoky, I would say, color. And I had not used that in a while, so I wanted to use that and see how it looked. And I really like how it turned out. So I'm using pumice stone today instead of my normal vintage photo or walnut stain. Yep, I really like that finish. Very pretty. And then we figure out how we want our pocket for the front, so our other stacked pocket on top. Now I'm going to do book page on top of this, and I need it a little less of a wide width, so let's do about 5 inches wide. Okay, and then let's see, do I want to do it that way, or could do it this way, and okay, and then fold over and just barely fold over again. Okay, and then use your glue or whatever you want to use to glue down those seals, that back seal, or fold over, or the flap, whatever you call it. And then I'm going to fold up on the bottom, trim off my corners, and then trim off that one flap, and I'll just use a little bit of Fabrifix and close up that bottom flap and get a nice pretty closed flap at the bottom. And then I'm going to tear the top, and then ink. I think this pumice stone even has maybe a little hint of green in it, but I love it. It's very pretty. It is darker and more black tone than the vintage photo is, but it's like a next door neighbor to walnut stain. Alright, I'm going to dirty up the bottom a little bit. And I think I will go a little cattywampus with this one. And make my little tuck here like I did on this one. So that is it, y'all. That's how these come together. For the little tuck one, I'm going to put some score tape along the bottom of it, and then score tape up this side, and then a little bit of score tape. I'm not going to go all the way across on the top, but just a little score tape on the top, and that keeps this little bag from, when you're pulling something out of it, from that flopping back and forth. Take my backings off of the score tape, or double-sided tape, whatever tape you would like to use or you have on hand. And then just add your pocket, that little baggie, onto the front there. So you've got this pocket, you've got this pocket, okay, and then you have a little tuck spot right here too. I like that little piece of paper. I think I will add that into there. Very cute. And then let's make some things to go inside of these two pockets, and then we need to make a little cluster for the outside of this one. I've got some dyed fabric from a leftover project that I think I will cut a little bit off. I want to cover up ATM that's on that. Okay, and then just some other little odds and end pieces of scrap to make you a nice little cluster for the front. Go like that. And then maybe one little focal point of some kind. Little blessings die cut. So I will ink the edges of all my little pieces of my cluster. I like that look. If you don't want to ink edges of your cluster pieces, you don't have to. It is still just as pretty. I just like the look of being able to see every little distinct piece that's in the cluster, even when it's layered up like this. And then just start layering up all your little pieces. Pretty. And then let's get some scrap paper. Maybe we'll have some that is big enough. Oh, look at that, almost tall enough, just not quite. And then find a piece. I just like finding pieces in my scrap pile that would go in there, and that does. I like that. Just a piece of craft cardstock, and I think I will ink the edges and add a little bit of ribbon or something to the top and make it kind of tag-like. This little piece of lace, and lay it like that, and use my Tim Holtz tiny attacher and add one little staple to the middle, and you have an instant little tag. Very cute. Okay, and then we need some pieces that are about this wide to go down in that, and we could get quite a few pieces in there. So let's try. I have some bigger pieces of looks like tea dyed cardstock. It's not paper, cardstock. So I'm going to get a piece cut off that wide, and then we'll see how much we need to cut off of the bottom. Okay, there's our little piece of paper put down in there, or cardstock put down in there. And let's make a tab for the top of it. Just fold it over a piece of scrap cardstock, and I'm going to place it in my tab punch, if it will cooperate. And I'm going to leave a little section at the top. So it has a double tab. Okay, and then I'm going to ink the edges and then put some glue on either side and get it attached to my piece of card. And get it attached to my and get it attached to my piece of cardstock. And there's that stacked baggie pocket finished with my piece of tea stain paper up there, a little tag here, and then a little piece of scrap paper here in the little tuck. So that is our little cattywampus stacked baggie. And now to do this type of pocket is the same thing, but we're just putting this bag on all the way, no tucks on the side, and it's straight up and down. So let's use some of this 6x6 paper and some of this printed vellum. That would be very pretty to use. Maybe this as our front pocket. I'm going to get this and fold it over, and I can kind of meet it in the middle, and we can make that same design all over again if we fold it correctly. Yeah, that looks cute. Okay, and then get a little bit of adhesive for the seam, and since that is vellum, I'm going to let that dry for just a minute before I start folding and trying to move that all around. I love this paper, and it is going to be the exact same width as that one probably, so I'm just going to make a little baggie out of it. Now this is a little bit heavier weight than just regular old paper, so it's almost like a cardstock weight, but it still works nicely. I've got some glue on my mat so everything's wanting to stick. Probably where I used the glue stick and didn't use my glue book behind it, huh? I just like this pattern of paper and wanted to try making a baggie out of it. I will let that dry. I'm going to set that one aside too and let it dry. This vellum one needs a little bit of weight on top of it to help it dry. And let's see if we can use this piece. I'm going to, let's see, this is a 12-inch tall piece, so I'm going to cut, let's see, I'm going to cut 3 inches off of it. Put that in my scrap pile. And I'm going to fold this over, and then I'm going to tear the top. So I like having a good bit to be able to tear off when I get there. So see, that seam is definitely not in the middle. Now let's see, if I do a skinny one like this, is it going to have enough room? Oh yeah, it's just going to be very close. But yeah, we'll have room. And put some 1/8-inch score tape on the back because it's a little bit thicker than regular scrapbook paper, just to keep it closed nicely. Okay, and then I'm going to fold up and then trim off my bottom edges, and then trim off that folded flap. And use my liquid adhesive to close that flap off. Okay, and then I want to tear the top. Nice little pocket there. And then I want to use this on it about here, so I'll have quite a bit that I can tear off the top of this vellum. Okay. And then adhesive on the flap. Okay, I need to trim off about this much, and then I'm not going to tear this one. I'm going to use my tab punch on the top of it. I love this tab punch. You can use it for so many different things. Okay, so I'm going to get about in the middle and go up to right before it starts to do that wider piece. And then that gives me, that's just the cutest little notch. I love that. Gives me that notch at the top. And then I'll just do a little bit of inking. Vellum doesn't like taking ink too much, so we won't do all that much inking. And then that little pocket on the front of that, that is cute. I think I want to tear off a little bit more of this though, so we can get the portions a little nicer looking. Yep, I like that. And then ink this pocket. And then I think I'll just put this vellum pocket on with some double-sided tape. And for this pocket, we won't have that tuck, so we can place it right in the middle. Very cute. So we've got that pocket there, and then we've got this pocket here. And let's find some things we can put in here. Just cut down some pieces of scrap that you have. And I don't know that I want to put that much of a cluster on the front of that vellum. It's so pretty. And let's see, we'll have to trim this down a little bit, I think. Just a touch, and I will make that into a tag too. Just a little bit, and then add a little bit more of that trim. After I ink, let's ink this. Get our tiny attacher and fan out our ribbon or our lace, whatever. Put our little staple in there. that is so cute. I like that. And then we need to add a few things to that back pocket, and maybe one little something to go on the front of this. I like that little piece. That is from the Tim Holtz Thrift Shop die cut set. And just to add, see if I've got enough Barely Arts in here to get a little bit of glue on the back of that. And add to that. And that is all I want to put on that vellum. It's so pretty. I don't want to cover up too much of it. Very nice. On this one, this is book page and this is ink dyed paper. So just copy paper and book page is how I made that stacked pocket. And then we still need to add something to that pocket. So I'm going to do that, and I want to fold it. So let's fold over there. And this is just some cream colored copy paper that I have by my printer. And let's make sure that it fits well. Yes. And then trim it off. And so we have a little booklet or journaling spot of sorts inside of this little pocket. And it's out enough you don't even need a tab if you don't want to add one. So there is the straightforward double stack baggy pocket, and another example of it with some clusters. Okay, and then the little cattywampus stacked pockets. So off to the side a little bit and leaving room on this side for a little tuck. And then I want to go ahead and make this pocket. I just love this pattern. Kind of makes you dizzy looking at it. So you would think I wouldn't like that, but this is a little bit thicker. So it's going to hold stuff really good and sturdy. So you could even make these little baggies and not even stack them, and just use them as is without any stacking on the front. So fold that over and use my scoring tool, bone folder. And then tear that top. And do some inking. And you could just use this as is. Do some cluster work on the front of it. So let's add little pieces of coffee stained paper and a little circle that we had left over from another M Scrapbusters, and maybe this little butterfly piece back behind it somewhere like that. Cut a little piece of lace to go on there somewhere like that, and I think that little circle's already inked, and I will ink this piece and these coffee dyed pieces. And let's see if I've got enough glue to get this done. I've got to get some more glue. put glue on the back of that, and then get my Fabrifix. See how I need to finish this off. I think that lace piece is just a little too wide, so let's trim off a little bit of that, and then add some adhesive there. Put that on, and then our little circle piece, and use this little bitty die cut that I've had in my stash for years and years and years. Just a tiny little thing. So a nice little cluster on the outside of one baggie. You could add things to that and then just adhere this into our journal on our journal page. So you don't even have to stack any on top of one another if you don't want to. You can just make the one baggie, make a nice little cluster for the front of it, and it is journal ready, just like that. And just add your little tag or whatever on the inside there, and add you a nice little tag to the inside of it, and maybe a little pull to the top, and you have a nice addition to your journal, just like that, without even adding any stack to the top. So I really love this project. I love how it turned out, and thank you, Natasha at Treasure Books, for giving me the idea and showing how you made your little baggies. And she made all kinds and out of all kinds of different materials and things, so be sure to watch her video that I have linked in the description box below. I will give you some up close and personal still shots of all of these at the end, so stay tuned for that. And if you make any of these stacked baggie pockets, be sure to use the hashtag #MsScrapBusters so that I can find your video, your pictures, wherever you put them, and give you some love. Y'all have a great day. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.